till 7 o'clock to start us officially. And then we'll get going.
That was wonderful last night with all the different menorahs.
So interesting.
That was so interesting.
Mhm.
They have quite a collection.
They do.
And a goal to collect up to 18.
18,
I know,
like
I'm gonna
that.
hold them
Mhm.
to that. That's so
Just
funny.
3 more.
We did it last year, as we know, but I'm sure I saw a few different menorahs even this year. It seems like she had more than 15, but I love the bicycle one.
Mhm.
Yeah. And the
They-
dinosaur.
Oh, that was great.
Lauren, you would have loved that, a bicycle with a,
She was there.
oh, you were on, oh yeah, you
There
were on,
last night.
oh yeah, the bicycle one.
But for those of you who weren't, Judy and Alan Wertheimer have a collection of 15 menorahs. And they showed us each of them last night and talked about the material it was made out of and a little bit of the history about them. It was very, very interesting. Okay, it is 7 o'clock. I want to welcome all of us. It is just so good for us to be together. Pardon my clock that is boinging. And no, we being Toby Olson, I'm saying her first tonight because I couldn't remember her name last night, which was quite embarrassing. And Lindsay Hagan and Esther Brill and myself got talking about how successful this was last year when we did it. And that we realized that last year we had no other choices. And this year that there are choices, thank goodness. But that it was a wonderful way to bring those congregants and part of our families together who wish to do this. And so the four of us planned this for this Hanukkah. There will be, as I said last night, there will be 7 nights that we'll be doing this. Each night with a different family will be honoring us by lighting candles and sharing with us a little bit of information about what they do. Friday night, there will be services at Temple where candles will be lit there. So we hope that as many of you who can either join on Zoom or actually be there will join us that way. I want to remind you that there are a few different ways to view your screen. I'm sure that you are all aware of this by this point. Hi, Rachel. We're glad to have you with us. You can be either speaker view or gallery view. If you have speaker view, then you can see the person who is presenting or speaking takes up most of the screen. If you want to be able to see everybody who has joined in, then you can see gallery view, which and the view is up in your right-hand corner. I'm going to ask you to please mute yourselves until we get to the part where we would like you to contribute to the discussion that's going on. I also want to make sure to acknowledge that Esther Brill tonight is our Zoom person. So thank you, Esther, for doing that. Hi, Marcia. We're glad that you're with us. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
And Joyce Schachter just joined us. So hi, Joyce. We're glad to see you also. This is just a wonderful family doing this ritual together and these prayers together. And I think it gives us all a warm, happy feeling to be together. Tonight, we are very happy to have Lauren Lieberman and Katrina Arndt, who will be lighting the candles and saying the prayers. While they are doing that, Esther will screen share the prayers. So if you need a little bit of a reminder, they will be up. And following the candle lighting, both Lauren and Katrina have asked if they could share some of their traditions, and Katrina's going to share what it's like celebrating Hanukkah as a non-Jewish person. So we are thrilled to have both of them being willing to share that with us. So I'm going to turn it over to Lauren and Katrina.
Wait, I think Esther's got to share their screen. She's going to put the prayers up for everybody. Good job, Esther.
You ready?
We're
I'll light
going
the
to light the
shama.
shamas first.
We have 3.
Ready? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadleker she'elanu. Let's sing the second prayer. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam
Eloheinu melech haolam,
she'asa
v'asan lavoteinu,
v'yamotenu al
v'yamim ha'eh.
hazman hazeh. Rough. Yay. Wonderful. Thank you, Esther. Terrific. So I was thinking about how cool some of our traditions are, and in our family, ever since we were growing up, the first night of Hanukkah, we always had a plate with fruit and nuts and gelt and candy, sometimes money, and then if people could mute just, it's really hard to hear. If people could mute for right now, and then we'll take turns talking when we can, if people could do that. So, and we've, through the years, it's kind of evolved. Like this year, my sister made us a big jar of dried fruit. She made us some soap.
We got lottery tickets.
Lottery tickets on each plate, yeah. And so I thought that every family did these plates of the fruit and candy and gelt. And my aunt told me it's actually a German tradition, and it's called a bunter Teller plate. It's not necessarily Jewish, but we made it that way, and I always thought it was a Jewish thing. But when we looked it up, my brother and I looked it up, and it's actually a German tradition, and it's just around the holidays to make it more festive. And people put on the plates, they put
Cookies.
you can see this, like
Here, I'll hold it.
cookies and different fruits, and actually, because it's German, a lot of people put in marzipan. Marzipan was a big thing when we were growing up too. And so a bunter Teller plate was a common thing for our family on the first night, and it was a big deal, and everybody got to, and actually walnuts. We always had whole walnuts. And I just thought, well, what are other traditions that other people have in your home? Oh yeah, go ahead, Katrina.
So we'll do that too, but then I'll talk first.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have been a member of Temple Sinai with Lauren for 20 years. And when I moved to Rochester to be with,
22.
well, she says 22, but I don't know if we joined right away. 22 years. Sorry, honey. And as a non-Jew, and I have not converted and raised by a minister, so very used to Christian traditions, what I really like about Sinai and the Sinai family is that I am welcomed as a supportive member to my wife and to the community. And what I enjoy most about Hanukkah is seeing the candles take on different significance, because growing up as a Christian, we had them for Advent, which is preparing for the birth of the Savior, which of course is not the case in Judaism. Instead, what happens is the lights begin with the shamas, and each night the light gets brighter and brighter and brighter and brighter as we go from 1 to 2 to 3 all the way to 8. And as we prepare to manage the sort of overwhelming presence of Christmas, I find that celebrating Hanukkah with Lauren and her family in the Temple Sinai community gives me, and I hope Lauren, the space to feel Jewish and to be Jewish and to cherish the traditions that are so often not visible around us. Because so often all we see is Christmas, and it's very hard. So I am very grateful to be part of a community that celebrates and worships in a way that values the Jewish tradition. So thank you for letting me part of the Sinai family.
You
I'm
are.
done.
Okay. Thanks, Katrina.
Ooh, so going back to Lauren and the plates, part of what happens with her family with the Hanukkah plates is it's a way to set aside Judaism as special and sacred and important. And so we wondered, do you have traditions like the Hanukkah plate? And discuss. If you'd like to. Renee's frowning, so maybe she doesn't have Hanukkah plates. But maybe she has something else she wants to talk about, and nobody has to talk, but we wondered, are there other special traditions that accompany candle lighting for you during Hanukkah? Is that right?
I thought everybody did Hanukkah plates. I just thought it was one, you grow up with it. It's one of those things you think everybody does it, but I don't know if that's a common thing.
Her sister puts chocolate on it.
I mean, we not only didn't do it, but I don't think I've ever even heard about it. So this is actually fascinating. But we had Hanukkah gelt, the little bag of little chocolate money. And our father made the best potato latkes. So yeah, mine aren't as good as his.
Is there anyone else who would like to share their Hanukkah traditions or to discuss their experiences as Katrina did?
Question for Renee. Applesauce or sour cream on those latkes?
Yeah.
We serve both. I myself prefer sour cream, but we serve both.
My grandmother put on sugar. So
Wow.
we not only have applesauce and sour cream, we also have a sugar bowl on the table.
Huh.
Mhm.
Like regular sugar, not confectioner sugar?
No, just regular white sugar. Mhm.
I wonder if that's from a country, like if it was some country tradition. Where did she come from? Or
She came from Russia. I'm not exactly sure which of those little countries were incorporated in when she came over as a child. Yeah.
interesting.
Anybody else like to share with us this evening? What we've started doing, and Michael loves this, is that after we light candles, I have a lot of children's Hanukkah stories. And so I bring the books out, and whoever is here with us, we choose a book and we do round robin reading in that Hanukkah story. So that has become fun for us to do. And we watch the candles burn down as we're sitting here. So I like doing that. Actually, Michael is a very good sport about it. And he reads with us too. So I didn't mean to demean him. Anybody else want to share? Well,
I would just say a couple of things that I appreciate hearing these, because when I was studying and converting to Judaism, I had to create Hanukkah traditions kind of from scratch, really. So I can appreciate the whole the thinking of, as I learned a tradition, I thought, like, Lauren, this is what we do now. So if I do these things, then I'm learning and practicing Judaism at home. But the thing is, like Lauren says, everybody is doing something a little bit different, which makes the holiday special, because you can kind of make it oriented towards you and your family. But I could really identify with that. And Katrina, I started to write in the box, but it got too complicated. But the calmness and the space that you guys have related to Hanukkah is something also that I appreciate, because there is so much around about Christmas. I find now my holidays are less stressful, a little bit more, definitely more spiritual, because we don't necessarily try to do both. We kind of more focus on Hanukkah, and it's much more enjoyable, peaceful opportunity to read and learn and enjoy the holiday in ways that I hadn't done before. So that's my story. And I like the idea of the plates, because what I learned from all you guys is the things that you have done. And so then we can add them to our traditions here. So I appreciate you sharing in ways that you might not appreciate. So I wanted to just clarify, you're helping us, me particularly, develop my Hanukkah traditions. Thank you.
Thank you, Toby, for sharing that. Is there anyone else who would like to share? Okay, well, if not, then I'm just going to
One other thing, Donna, I was wanted to say, I don't know if anybody has heard of this new recipe, but my sister-in-law was telling us about this new recipe for latkes, where instead of frying it in oil, you put it on, what's that white stuff called? The white
Parchment paper.
You put it on the parchment paper. You spread your whole mixture on parchment paper, and then you bake it. And then it's not all oily, and then you just cut it up. And so it's really good. And well, my sister made it out of,
Well, this is a secret. Don't tell. But she made sweet potato wines. They were not okay.
Yeah.
The ones she made with leftover mashed potatoes were fantastic. We're going to do it again. So they turn into like a fluffy, not quite like a kugel, but you can cut them into squares. They were fantastic.
yeah, it was, and it was so much less. There wasn't as much smoke in the room.
No frying.
They weren't all oily. It was awesome. So if anybody wants to try that, you might want to try it a few times before you have people over, just in case. I think we put it on like 400. Anyway,
They can talk to you
it's a
later
new
if they want the
tradition.
recipe.
It sounds like a very, very thin potato kugel.
It was thin, and they were a lot fluffier than I expected, and we could still kind of crisp them a little bit at the end. They were really good. I love the no frying part.
Thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
Joyce, I'm sorry, did I cut you off?
No. I was gonna share. I was gonna share a tradition of mine, which is not actually probably what you're expecting. But if anybody is wondering where I got my sense of humor from, when we would sing Rock of Ages, my parents changed the words to the last part where it says, "Thine the message cheering." Instead of "that the time is nearing," my dad would say, "Thine the message cheering, my wife's domineering." And my mom would change the last part, "When we see all people's free, tyrants disappearing." She was pointing at my dad. So that was a little something we did.
I like it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's
Thank
where
you
you
for
get it.
sharing. David, was there something you wanted to say? No, David, you're muted. Yeah.
No, not
Okay.
really. We did the standard latkes, gelt gifts, and just hiding from Christmas for a few days before
Yeah.
all that came around.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Is there anyone else who'd like to share with us? Okay. Thank all of you who did share. It was wonderful to hear what you did and what you thought. I'm just going to give another little telling about Friday night. Services are at 6 o'clock. As I said before, candles will be lit then. The services will be family friendly, and there will be goodie bags to go. There will be an after program, and then there will be an outdoor photo op with our giant inflatable menorah. So as many of you who can do it, it would be great to see you. I also want to tell you that tomorrow night, we are honored to have Rachel and Jeff Wicks be our candle lighters. So we hope that you can join us for that evening as well. So thank you for this wonderful time together, for sharing, for just being part of the temple community, family who wants to do this together. So we'll see you tomorrow night.